Drag Racing Fan live Thursday night, as usual, right here between the slicks with your host, yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer. We've got a great guest on hand, one of the most recent NHRA Top Fuel licensed individuals who's also got some time turning some wrenches on the TJ Zizzo camp Top Fueler machine. Looking forward to talking to Jake in just a few moments. Hey, if you're tuned in, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Share it if you're on Facebook. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. I'd love for you to chime in if you're watching this on Twitter. Definitely want to hear from you. Be sure to do all of that and chime in right now. We definitely want to talk what? Drag racing. Continue the conversation about the great sport of drag racing and all that's going on in the sport of drag racing. And right here in between the slicks, it's not just about NHRA. It's not just about the biggest names in the sport. It's about the sport in its totality. From the media to crew chiefs to drivers to crews, we want to talk to who is involved in the sport of drag racing. And that includes you, the fan. 50 episodes. Tonight is the 50th episode. Look, folks, I do have planned for the 52nd episode, try to do something special. That's what I hope. I hope we can do something special for the 52nd episode of 1 year's worth of content. That's what the plan is. I hope that can be worked out. So definitely be ready to tune in to the 52nd episode. Next week, I already have a guest lined up. It's rare that a guest is lined up this soon, but it takes a load off of me for sure. John Montecalvo, he is going to be on, the Extreme Pro Stock driver, champion in the past as well, longtime campaigner in what is known as Mountain Motor Pro Stock. We're going to have him on. And we're going to have him on, yes, to talk about Mountain Motor Pro Stock, talk about Extreme Pro Stock and the PDRA. But beyond that, we're going to talk to him about a recent development on Long Island that they are going to get back to drag racing really soon, apparently. And for the first time in decades, have drag racing on Long Island, New York. So definitely looking forward to hearing from him and diving into that a bit more. Again, guys, hit the like button for me. Chime in. Stan, we see you. We'll get to that in just a moment. And Michael, thank you for chiming in as well. I'm just doing some tidying up and hitting the share button myself. Let me bring something. Let me say something before we go further. Every now and then, I will come across individuals. They will say, in reference to Monday Morning Racer, they do a good job, or they don't do a good job. Whatever it may be, they use the plural. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to clear something up. There is no they when it comes to Monday Morning Racer. It's me. That's it. I'm the guy hitting the share buttons. I'm the guy doing the video editing. I'm the guy holding the camera. I'm the guy in front of the camera. Very rarely do I ever have any assistance. I hope one day that there can be a crew. There could be a whole entire media outlet. That's what I do hope. But that has not happened as of yet. I've only been doing this for about a little over 2 years. It's been an amazing ride. Nonetheless, when you see they, it's not they. It's just me. That's it. That's it. Stan, MMR, have heard when the 2022 NHRA schedule will be released. Stan, I have not. I have heard nothing. I have not even heard a rumor from anyone of when the 2022 schedule will be released. I think right now the NHRA is just excited that, well, they're not having to make too many moves in the schedule itself for 2021. When you take into mind what we had to do last year, when you look at this year and the cancellations and the moving and the rescheduling, it's been a cakewalk compared to last year. So I think, one, they're just excited to get through 2021. Also, Stan, traditionally, what I've noticed, NASCAR reveals their 2022 schedule, and then the schedules of other American motorsports come after that. That is what I've noticed. I don't know if that should necessarily be the case. I'm thinking about doing this for a whynotdragracing.com video. Look, if you have not been to whynotdragracing.com, go check that out. Initiative with myself, Foley Lewis Racing, Doug Foley, Guy Pierce, others involved to expose and move the platform of drag racing as a whole beyond where it is, that people have a better understanding of it. But think of this, ladies and gentlemen. NASCAR. I love NASCAR. I'm a NASCAR fan. NASCAR's great. I enjoy watching NASCAR. I'm a Chase Elliott guy because I'm a lifelong Bill Elliott fan. But even though it may be the top American motorsport, it is not the top motorsport internationally. IndyCar is not the top international sport for open wheel. F1 would have that position. But when you look into the world of drag racing, which happens all over the world, from Indianapolis, Indiana, to Sydney, Australia, to Sanapod in Great Britain, even in Taiwan, when you look at the pinnacle of drag racing, it is the National Hot Rod Association. The world looks at what is happening with a Brittany Force. The world looks at what is happening with the J.R. Todd. The world looks at what is happening with a Greg Anderson. That is a platform worth investing in. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Maybe drag racing and the NHRA shouldn't wait on NASCAR. Even Ron Capps mentioned on the Competition Plus Power Hour that they tend to let NASCAR do something, they see if it works, and they take that lead. Maybe the NHRA needs to start taking the lead on a few things and let NASCAR follow suit instead of the other way around. Just saying. Just saying. Bernie, good to see you. Good evening. Pat, good to have you in. Good evening. 426 Hemi, you do a great job. Man, I appreciate that. Not everybody thinks so, but I'll take all the kudos I can get. I appreciate it. Hello from the UK. Glad to have you on. Appreciate appreciate you tuning in, and good to have you watching. I've been over to Great Britain, or rather Southern England, once before. Beautiful, beautiful topography. Stonehenge is a lot smaller than you might think, though. Just saying. Going to Bowling Green. No, I will not be there. I miss PDRA because I was at Atlanta. I'm going to miss the reunion this year as well. Just schedule-wise, it's not working out. I want to get to that track so badly. Heard so many good things. No, I will not be there, Bernie. I will not be there. All right, let's see. Ivan James, good night from Caribbean. Keep up the good work, bro. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Glad to have you watching from the Caribbean. Hey, we're in the Caribbean. I know a few of those little islands. Haven't been there yet, but you've got obviously Puerto Rico, Bermuda. All those places. Which island in particular? Chime in for us. Hope to see you all in Norwalk. I plan on being in Norwalk coming up for the NHRA, certainly. Let's continue through the comments. Thank you all for commenting. Hope they keep New England in June next year. This weekend should be a blast. You know what? I think it was a good move. If you can see, I'm wearing the New England Nationals from 2019, that hat. And it was a warm weekend. I remember. And look, I'm used to humidity. I'm used to it being hot. It was very, very warm. And it seems like this time slot in June is really going to work out for New England. They're going to be knocking on some track records. You never know. There might be something else fall record-wise being up there, depending on the weather conditions, the air quality. So, yeah, I think keeping it in June might very well be a good move. We'll see how it works out. I know this much. It's going to be a great turnout. Those fans love NHRA drag racing up there. We're going to talk a little bit more about the New England Nationals in particular in just a few moments. James, he chimes in. What's up, MMR? Man, I'm doing great talking drag racing. Looking forward to having a great guest on in Jake, a recent NHRA Top Fuel licensee. Happy race weekend, kind of down a bit because I kind of been missing one of my favorites in drag racing lately. Yeah, chime in, man. What are you talking about? Yeah, or are you talking about Ashley? Maybe you're talking about Ashley Stanford. I know you really are a big fan of her. Yes, it would be great to have her back out. Be great to have her down in Australia right now. Be great to have her in Australia right now. They are racing this weekend, their big, huge event. They're like U.S. Nationals, Winter Nationals. That's going to be taking place. And with that being said, all right, folks, this weekend we have, I believe it's 12 cars entered in Top Fuel, 13 in Nitro Funny Car, and then a bazillion in Pro Stock. No, not a bazillion, but it is a large Pro Stock field, which is a great thing to see, mind you. Great thing to see. It's very fascinating to me that 2-3 years ago we were talking about the possible death of Pro Stock, and by the sheer determination of individuals like Richard Freeman and KB Racing and the lease program, it is turned around. How long? I don't know, but it's definitely healthy. And the limiting of the schedule, which I think needs to happen overall for the NHRA teams. A lot of team owners and general managers do say that, hey, let's pull the schedule back a bit, and that will be extremely helpful to us all. Nonetheless, I think when you look at 12 Top Fuelers and 13 Funny Cars, there's a lot of individuals, even though we've had decent fields for the other events this year, near or even above full fields. You have many out there, they will go, the NHRA is dying. Proof. And I don't think so. Understand, New England, Epping, New Hampshire, is one of the farthest treks that many of these teams have to make to go to an event. Whether you're traveling from Brownsburg, Indiana, or if you're traveling from like Doug Foley's shop there in Mooresville, North Carolina, you're looking at 15 hours of riding. It's going to be 14 hours for me leaving from Roxborough, North Carolina, and the strutmasters.com headquarters. It is a long trip. And we right now are in a time period in NHRA drag racing where the regional nitro team, like a TJ Zizzo there in the Midwest, like a Kyle Wurtzel there in the Midwest, like a Alex Milodonovich coming out of SoCal, or Little City Racing coming out of Reno with Chris Morrell. These regional teams, such as a Josh Hart coming out of Florida, these regional teams are more important than ever. And when you look into the world of the Northeast, there are not that many big show nitro cars. They have a great nostalgia presence, and Nostalgia Funny Car will be on hand this weekend. But there's not that many big show funny cars or big show Top Fuelers. In fact, when I think of the region and nitro and big show NHRA competition, it's the New Englander. That's really all that I can have come to mind. What I'm saying is this. I do not think the lower fields are indicative of the NHRA's dying. I think it is rather a testimony to the challenging economical situation that's in the Northeast, period, and the challenging economical situation it takes to run one of these cars today. Look elsewhere, and you find teams willing to make up the fields. Folks, also remember this. Even though I think we have to be careful about sliding back, there was a day and time that an NHRA national event for the pro classes were just 8-car fields. I'm reminded of the 1981 Southern Nationals. Shirley Moe won that event. It was a 8-car field for Top Fuel and Funny Car and Pro Stock. I don't think we need to go back to those days, but let's appreciate what we got, because going back to my mentioning of Australia, they only have 3 Top Fuel entries. That saddens me that such a great sport in drag racing, and it's definitely beloved in Australia, only 3 Top Fuel dragsters. Only 8 pro slammers, which I love, by the way. They don't call them pro mod, they're pro slammers. I love that. 8. And you can go to like an outlaw pro mod event and see like 32 cars here in the United States try to attempt to qualify for a 16-car field. Just remember, just remember, we have it pretty good here. Also, last time, 2019, New England, there wasn't 16 cars. There wasn't 16 cars in Funny Car, if I remember correctly. There were big-name teams that did not go to Epping, New Hampshire. One that comes to mind, Leah. That's right. Leah Pruitt, if you recall, did not in 2019 go to the New England Nationals, and she still made the countdown. I think that's also a part that has to be mentioned as we are in the day and time where you can, theoretically, and it's been proven several times by many drivers and teams, you do not have to run the full schedule to make the countdown. You got to show up to the select races within your budget and perform exceptionally well, and you have a chance in, well, making the countdown, even running a part-time schedule. All right. James chimes in. That's who I'm talking about. Yes, Ashley Stanford. I mean, I got Erica Antron Hagen, etc., but still, I know, man, you want to see your main girl out there racing. I hear you. I hear you. Stan, he chimes in. Kyle Wurtzel posted on Nitro Matter why little teams didn't go to Lobster Lane. Yeah, I mean, look, it's out there. It is a tough trip, and not only is it a tough trip, but like I'm staying 30 minutes away, the cheapest motel I could find, and I knew about that motel. I'd gone to the event before, but if you get closer, like within 15 minutes, by the time I was attempting to book, I think the cheapest I found was $275 a night. I'm not paying $275 a night. So it's just an interesting area. Great track, though. To the folks of New England Dragway, I think they do an exceptional, great job at putting on a national event. And is it the greatest facility that the NHRA goes to? Well, no, it's not. But they do make a great attempt. Like they bring in these portable restrooms that have nice marble in them, and they're air conditioned. And you can tell they are attempting to accommodate the fans. Plus, you get to sit on the hill and watch a drag race. That's a pretty cool spot to watch a drag race from. Mike, he chimes in, and without a race in front or behind, it doesn't help that. Yes, and that's what Jeff Arend pointed out. And I asked him on the Competition Plus Power Hour, I said, Jeff, if VMP, Virginia Motorsports Park, had not been moved and postponed, it still has not been rescheduled. It's been postponed, and I hope Virginia Motorsports Park can come back on the schedule for 2021. But with it being moved, did that impact more teams not going to Epping? And he felt that definitely was a reason, because if you were able to go to VMP, then you could have rode up theoretically a shorter trip from the middle of Virginia, Petersburg, and park the trailer for a week or something of that nature. It might not have been as hard on the teams. Pat, really quickly, I kind of wish NHRA would back up to where fuel cars could race regional events for points. That would be interesting to see. I agree. That would be interesting to see. I don't think that is going to happen, but what might be interesting is at regional events, maybe the NHRA works out some way to have match racing at those regional events to bring in some big names to the regional events so that the alcohol and sportsman classes get a bit more exposure. I think that would be great to see. And it would be cool to see every NHRA regional on a platform such as NHRA.tv or NHRA YouTube showcased no matter what weekend they were on. Stan says first year at BIR was 8 cars in Top Fuel, I think 16 in Funny Car. Yeah, look, I don't want to go back to those days, but realize, folks, we've had it good for a long time, and there's a lot more factors than just big, ugly NHRA hurting itself. There's way more than that, And Mikey says, I'll watch some runs on the hill this weekend if you want. Man, let's see if we can work that out. Sure. Looking forward to being in Epping this weekend. I plan on driving after the show, see how far I can get. The rental this time is a F-150. It's got a nice big back. It's a crew cab, so maybe I can just sleep in the truck on the way up. Not while driving. Okay. Very quickly, before we bring on Jake, our guest tonight, I want to give you a rundown of the points going into Epping for Top Fuel, Funny Car, and Pro Stock. Top Fuel, well, Steve Torrance leads the way. Antron Brown is second. Sean Langdon is third. Fourth is Brittany Force. And fifth is Doug Coletta. I am shocked that Leah Pruitt right now sits 10th. They have been struggling for whatever reason. And if you go back to 2020 and you watch my national event and reviews, I kept saying keep an eye on Leah Pruitt. Before that split happened in St. Louis, her wreck, I definitely think she was well on her way to be a serious contender in the final rounds and races for the 2020 championship. But right now, it looks like they are definitely struggling. She is sitting there in 10th. Funny Car, Bob Tasca leads the way. J.R. Todd is second. John Force is third. Fourth, Ron Capps. Fifth, Robert Height. I'm surprised that Alexis DeJoria, mind you, she's going to be running the Bandero Tequila on the side of the car as a primary sponsor this weekend. I'm surprised she's sitting 8th. I really thought she would be higher up in the points, but they have had some wonky things happen this year, like the first round incident in Atlanta. Pro Stock, Greg Anderson, number 1. Derek Kramer, number 2. Derek Kramer, number 2, silently stepping in there at number 2, folks. Very interesting. Third, Erica Enders. Fourth, Mason McGahey. Mason McGahey, fourth, kind of outpacing all the other young talent that's come into Pro Stock lately at this early point in the season. Fifth, Aaron Stanfield. And ladies and gentlemen, Alex Laughlin is 17th. If you would have told me earlier this year that Alex Laughlin would be focusing on Pro Mod and not run the rest of the Pro Stock schedule, or the most majority of it, we could say, I would have laughed. I would have definitely been shocked by that. Alex Laughlin, 17th in points. Yes, focusing on Pro Mod. I'm shocked by that. I have to say that I'm shocked by that. Well, folks, let's dive in and bring in our guest tonight. We're going to take a break, and we will have him on. Let's see. Let's find, this one right here. Remember, you can get your Monday Morning Racer apparel at shopspeedshark.com. Yes, you can now get Monday Morning Racer swag. ShopSpeedShark.com. Team Speed Shark, they can hook you up with Monday Morning Racer apparel. Not only Monday Morning Racer apparel, we're talking about apparel for Johnny Placino, Camry Caruso, Frankie the Madman Taylor, and more to come soon. Check them out at ShopSpeedShark.com or at your next race at the Speed Shark trailer. Jake Opatrny, is that right?
Close enough. It's not a lot of people can get it on their first try. It's Opatrny. It's
Opatrny. There we go. Opatrny. I have to suspect there is some type of Irish lineage in your background with a name like that.
Actually, no, not at all.
Really?
Yeah, I believe I did the Ancestry.com thing a while back. My aunt did it, and came back Bohemian and Austrian. A little bit of German, a little bit of Italian, but mostly Bohemian and Austrian.
Okay. Very interesting. Yeah, going back into your the ancestry that we all have. One, we're all more connected than I think we really want to think we are. We're far more interconnected. And two, it's just wild where you can see how people have mixed and mingled and traveled and gone throughout and experienced everything that they have. Well, man, look, you've definitely shaken up things in your life. Let's dive right into it. After the 4-wide there in Las Vegas, you went and got your NHRA Top Fuel license. Let's talk about that day in particular to start off. Give us the whole rundown of, getting your license, man, and you got it done in one day. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's see. I start the day off with a good night's rest, and that day, it was very hot that day in Vegas. I believe it was like around 94 degrees. So, the car ran great. all the guys did a great job getting the car all nice and safe and giving me a great car to drive. Because how would I word it? When you go to get a top fuel license, it's best that you try to find the best people and crew to go get your license with. And Dell and the Worshams, huge shout out to them. They took care of me. They have a phenomenal car. They taught me a lot, and we got it done in 3 runs in 1 day, and I couldn't thank them enough for that. Started it off, learning how to warm up the car. Actually, I arrived there earlier in the week. I arrived on a Wednesday. I met them at the track on, I think it was Thursday or Friday. Can't remember. I think Friday I met them at the track. Just spent the entire weekend getting oriented with the car, the team, and preparing myself for that Monday morning after the finals when I jumped in the car for the first time and unleashed 11,000 horsepower with my right foot. Still none to say the least. Let me see. The first run was, a planned half track hit. Car ran about 4.2, 212, I think. I don't have the time slip in front of me at the moment. It was a planned half track shut off. As soon as I mashed the throttle for the first time, I was instantly disillusioned. Compared to the alcohol car and the super comp car that I drove prior to that, top fuel car is an entirely different animal. I'm cracking myself up just thinking about it. Well, like I said, compared to the alcohol car, it's an entirely different animal. And, I've said to myself, tread lightly, be careful. This thing is trying to kill you. The car made a move to the left a little bit. It's a top fuel car. It doesn't want to go straight. And, I saw that happen right when the car was in motion. So just steered the wheel to the right a little bit, kept it right in the middle of the track. Had a hole out. I was firing on 7 cylinders most of the run. But, kept it right in the middle of the groove on the first pass. And, the guy said I did a great job. And then it was time to make a 1,000 foot pass, my first 1,000 foot hit. And at that point, I knew what to expect when I left the line, but I didn't know what it was like when I got to the 8th mile and beyond. So, started the car up, did the burnout, saying to myself as, we were, starting the car up, it's like, hey, you're actually going to 1,000 foot, dude. You're going to go 300 miles an hour. You sure you got this? It's like, sure, I had to do this. I went at it with enough money to only afford 3 runs. And, if I had to, make more runs up, whether, due to driver error or something else happened where it was my fault, where I would have had to buy another run, I was like, I can't do that. I don't want to do that right now. I really don't want to make up another run. So it's like, dude, you got to do these runs. You got to do them like a pro and you can't mess up. And I went there to win and I did not mess up and I got it done right. So, after did the burnout, like on the second run, I did back up like a clown. The guy was backing me. I was like, go this way. And I'm overcorrecting and, trying to straighten the wheel out too soon. And I still feel bad for making the backup guys stress out, but they lined me up straight and rolled it into the beams and stood on it, and it felt real good up until the 8th mile. And then when I got to the 8th mile, my vision started getting all disordered and blurry. Due to the vibrations that I got in the seat. It's possible that my helmet may have hit the side of the padding, but I don't think so. I think my vision would have been a lot worse if that was the case. And I saw the center line creeping up on me on the left-hand side, and I knew I was getting out of the groove. And this was past half track, so, just steered right back in, put it back in the groove and through the chutes, and the guy said it was a, textbook run, looked great. And, the final run was, the second run was a 395 at 308. The final run was a 394 at 301. And the final run was the one that was the smoothest. I knew what to expect. I knew when the vision was going to get blurry and everything, and when the vibrations from the seat were going to start getting more intense. Once again, they said it was a textbook run. It looked really good. But the funny thing about my final run in the top fuel car was I nasty red lighted. It was like a negative 164 light or something. And it was a little bit of a deja vu. And I shouldn't say deja vu. That's not the word I'm looking for. I did the same thing in the alcohol car when I drove with Frank Hawley. On my last run of the day, nasty red light. Last run in the top fuel car. Run was really good, but nasty red light. I was in a place where I could do that, where I could, make a run and at least get a time slip. But I was really close to not getting a time slip. So thank God I didn't have to make up a run because my right foot wanted to go before my brain did. And other than that, that's Jeff Arens said I did a great job. Dell said I did a great job. The guys on the crew were all very impressed, and I couldn't thank them enough for their kind words. Hope to see you guys in the staging lanes one day with me driving one of these things. But if this is the only time I ever drive a top fuel car, it was a dream come true, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. But I am trying to put a deal together as we speak.
All right, man. Yeah, I mean, you've got to do something that, a point of a percent of the population has been able to do. You've been able to experience it. You've been able to experience the unexplainable, because there's nothing that really can explain it. I have people ask me what is it like being at the line, and I'm like, well, it's hard to explain. It's like your life is put on pause for a second, when they launch. It's strange. There's nothing really to relate it to.
Yeah, to me, standing behind them on the line is like taking a full stick of dynamite and just setting it in front of you and letting it go off, or somebody hitting you in the chest with a sledgehammer. What it feels like when you're, piloting one of these things, I'll start off with the first initial hit. We're talking like maybe a tenth of a second here. The initial hit is it's soft, but maybe the car travels like maybe an inch or two forward and it's more factory 11. You feel the car in motion, but your brain doesn't realize it's moving yet. So you stand on it and you feel your back sink into the seat, and by the time your eyes realize that the cars are moving, the tree's already passing your peripheral vision, and at that point you're already going 100 miles an hour. So by the time your eyes tell your brain, hey, the car is moving, you're already going 100. And the G-forces you pull, there really isn't any whiplash or anything like that because of all the safety gear that they put on you with the Hans devices and the Simpson hybrids and all that. Like, I got a Hybrid Pro and the I think they called it the heavy duty chin strap. I decided to have that on there. It keeps your head really firm. So if anything, you're only gonna have your head snap back maybe that far. And they strap in those cars so tight, it literally feels like you're an attached component of the car. And when you pass the 100 foot, the car really starts taking off. When the clutch timers kick in at 300 feet to the 8th mile, it's like, holy cow. It's definitely one of the 7 wonders of the world when it comes to getting an adrenaline rush. And when you're accelerating that hard, it feels like as if you're your own center of gravity. It feels like your body's being pulled in every direction all at once. It feels like your body's expanding out and caving in all at the same time. So imagine being all points of the compass and exploding and imploding at the same time. And that's from my perspective, what it feels like to be in the seat of one of those things when it's burning 2 gallons of nitromethane a second, accelerating at at rates which make it the fastest accelerating land vehicle on the planet.
Well, man, again, congratulations, and glad the day was as successful as it was. You know, most people do not get it in 3. It's a longer process to get it. So you got it done in 3. Very cool. I know some folks are already asking about when do you plan on making a debut in competition? You already mentioned that you're trying to work to get a deal together. So, yeah, man, one, how challenging is it to actually get these deals together? It's challenging, I know, from my own side of things and what I'm trying to do for Foley Lewis Racing and others. And what is your hope of a debut? So dive into that for us.
My hope for a debut would, debuting Indy would be great, but that's such a huge race, and it'll most likely be such a huge field. I can't make, any, guarantees or promises, but I do have a meeting on Monday, so I'll see where that goes. I am going to suggest, at least 3 events to this potential sponsor. And those events are Indianapolis, St. Louis, and Dallas. I also suggested, I also suggested the 2 Pomona races, the Halloween weekend race in Vegas. I suggested the Sonoma race. So if anything, if I could, I'm going to campaign for at least 3, and I'm also, I also had the proposed, races schedule in case they wanted to, run more. But yeah, debuting Indy is where I'm going to plan to start. And I remember you talking about, the top fuel fields being smaller out in New England. And, to me, that, makes a lot of sense why the fields out there are smaller. What is the NHRA market trying to sell? The market out there for the NHRA is, a lot smaller in New England than it is in the Midwest, such as Indianapolis, Ohio, Joliet, when hopefully if that track reopens, St. Louis, and the South too. Gainesville. The market's a lot bigger down there than it is up in New England. Sadly, I just don't think the market up there is is as big as it is out in the Midwest. So that's probably why they have smaller fields out there. What are their sponsors' interests? What are they trying to sell out there? But yeah, to run the big go, that as a first event, that would be fantastic.
I think you make a good point in the marketing side of things. Depending on where you're running, it may very well be more advantageous for a sponsor to put their name on a car for that event. I think a great example would be Matt Hagan. He announced New Holland, which is an associate sponsor on the dump truck wing on a funny car. Well, they're going to be a primary at, well, guess what? St. Louis. That's perfect. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. That's agriculture country. It's a hotbed of it in the Midwest, and they're definitely going to be using New Holland equipment out there, combines and many other types of pieces to bring in the harvest of that time of season. So I think you make a good point in that. Folks are asking, who is it going to be with? So you still trying to work out, it be a ride with Dale? You got any other offers on the table you can share with us?
Yes. When it comes to finding, a team to run with, I've talked to several teams already. Dell prefers to keep the dragster on the West Coast. So depending on, I would like to most likely, be partnered with a team out here, in the Midwest, a team that I could go drive to, that's just a cakewalk away and hang out with. I did talk with the Zizzos about potentially driving their car. But I think, they want to keep that a family operation. So, it's best that, if I want to go drive, somebody else's car, I'd go talk to somebody else, and I'm not going to, get involved with that. They've given me the exposure that I need, or the exposure that I needed to establish the connections I needed to earn my top fuel license. They've taught me more than any other people so far in the racing community have, and I couldn't thank them enough for giving me the exposure, the know-how, the experience to, be there and know how to do this. And so for them, a huge shout out to Zizzo Racing. When you see them in the pits, when you see them running their part-time schedule, do stop by and say hello. They're amazing, phenomenal people. They are the nicest people on the racetrack. But in terms of the team that I would want to run with, yeah, Dell is an option, but as I said, he would prefer to keep that car out more towards the West Coast area. So if I said to him, hey, Dell, what do you think about running the Dragster in Indy? He may be like, I don't know, but I can't talk for him. But I would probably respect his wishes and, say, for example, if I run and drive Tim Wilkerson's car, because he just bought a Top Fuel Dragster, and I went down to his shop on Memorial Day and got fit in his car, and I fit in it. We will have to find a way to move the accelerator pedal forward a few inches, so that way I have more clearance between my my knee and the steering wheel and the handbrake. But after looking at the car and talking to Tim, I think that's the team that I want to partner with in terms of renting the car and the equipment. It's a great car. I think whose car was it? I can't remember. I think it was Mike Dakin or something. Pat something.
Pat Dakin?
No, not Pat Dakin.
Okay.
It was some other Dakin, I think. Yeah, I can't really remember, but I think that was the name I heard. I know who Pat Dakin is. It might have been one of Pat Dakin's cars. Yeah, sorry about the slip up with the words there. But yeah, beautiful car, amazing. Yeah, just very good looking car. It's got the chassis just got redone, got the new front end put in it, and like I said, after talking with Tim and feeling him out, it's like how did the conversation go, and what kind of vibes did I get from it, and I liked what I was hearing, and I couldn't thank him enough for having me by his shop, getting to know him a little better, and extending the invitation of potentially working together someday. And he said, yeah, if you can come up with a deal, give me a call and we'll get you out there.
Right. All about coming up with those deals to be out there for sure. Let me do some housework here. Learn about the Green Bay Blizzard. Brand new subscriber. Thank you for subscribing. Definitely going to have to check your channel out if it's a channel, because I have never heard about a Green Bay Blizzard. Got to check that out. ELS Train Tuber 501. Hey, I like trains. Thanks for jumping in. And yeah, man, look, we've talked about the licensing that day of. We've talked about your plans of trying to debut and working out all of these partnerships. What is the journey, though, to this point? I think that's some of the greatest stories for anyone, is not all the accolades after or even the moment of setting up, having a successful racing career, but what did it take to get there? You mentioned in a Competition Plus article that you had nobody in the family that was in drag racing. You had no connections, and here you are, you're licensed, making deals, attempting to debut. So when did the drag racing bug hit you? When did you know you wanted to get into a Top Fuel dragster, and how did you work out accomplishing it and getting in licensing?
It all started back in, I believe it was 2001. My father and my uncle Mike took me to the Route 66 Nationals. And, we were, bumming around the pits all day. And then the Top Fuel cars came around. And as soon as I saw and heard a nitro car for the first time, that was what I wanted to do. And oh man, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. The desire to compete and the desire to drive has been haunting me and controlling my life ever since. It's the only thing I've ever wanted to do was drive one of those race cars. Every sleepless night, every waking moment, I was thinking about it. How do I approach the driver's seat? How am I going to get people to be on my side? And Yeah, I do have, no family in drag racing. I wasn't brought into it. I'm looking to be a first generation competitor. I wasn't born into money. My father's an electrician, my mother's an accountant, and I run construction equipment to bring in, to put bread on the table. Good paying job. You can't get a top fuel license without a good paying job. So, because getting your top fuel license is, it's a very costly, it's very costly. It's not something everybody can afford, and something that not a lot of people would be willing to spend the money on either. It's like, it's that much for one run. It's like, yeah, that's just general expenses. But back to, the reason why I want to drive and why I want to do this and where my passion for drag racing came from. Yep, it was my dad and my uncle, decided to bring me to the drag races one day when I was a kid, and that accidentally started a lifelong obsession. Since then, besides collecting autographs, like later in my teenage years, I started telling the Nitro teams, like, hey, like, my name's Jake. I want to drive one of these things. What do I do? Where do I go? And I've received, different answers from everybody. And the answers changed over the years as I grew up and got more mature, and, people started, pointing me in different directions, like, oh, hey, go here. They're looking for guys. Oh, go there. They're looking for guys. And, when I got on the Zizzo's team, I was talking with them in 2019. I was talking with Tony Zizzo at the ropes to his trailer, and I asked him if he did licensing runs, and he said to me, "No, we don't. We don't do that. We don't, offer a car for licensing runs. But go talk to the Laganas. They might help you, and come back and tell me what they say." So I went over to, the Laganas trailer, and they had their dragster out there that weekend. And I was talking to Dom and Bobby. And I just saw Sam Smith's comment. Sorry to cut off conversation here, but the story about the skis behind me there, those were my grandfather's ski jump skis for the Nord Ski Jump in Fox River Grove. Before he started having all those kids, because he had 9 kids. My father was one. So before he had kids, he did ski jumping, and his wife said, hey, it's either ski jumping or me, your choice. And that was it. So back to what I was saying about, getting hooked up with the Zizzos. So I left off, I was talking with Dom and Bobby about potentially licensing, and they licensed Ashley Stanford earlier that year. And they said, we don't think, we'll be licensing, anyone anytime soon. We're just too busy. So I went back to the Zizzo's trailer and, told them, like, hey, this is what they said. And, I asked Tony if I could help out on the pit. And he says, so we got a pretty full, crew right now, but, feel free to come by the shop and help around, hang out. And we exchanged phone numbers. And the Thursday after the finals, I get a call from him. And he said to me, like, hey, kid, if you want to learn how to drive one of these things, it's best that you start rolling with us, and it's best that you learn how to work on them first. We'll be glad to teach you. But before you get into one of those cars and drive it, you need to know how it works inside of it. And we'd be glad to help you. And since then, I've, went to the shop the following Sunday and been helping them out ever since.
Boom. And so many stories are like that. People, they wonder, oh, how do you get into it? Or how do you get there? And even my story is similar. You got to get to the track. You got to be willing to, whether it's volunteer or even give a little bit to get in to start it. You have got to just get there. Show up at the shop, show up at the track, and just be there and take whatever opportunity you can get. And you've done that, and it's got you this far, and definitely looking forward to seeing what's ahead of you. Well, you mentioned the skis with my co-host there, Sam Smith, chiming in on the comment section. Folks, check out Outlaw Performance ENT, YouTube and Facebook. That's Slammin' Sam's, my co-host there on Competition Plus Power Hour. But, Jake, talk to us. You're wearing the Chicago Blackhawks hat there. What does he enjoy beyond drag racing? And talk to us a little bit more about driving the construction equipment, and what are you attempting to construct most of the time?
In terms of running the construction equipment, I'm an operating engineer with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150. So, I go, what do you want me to run? What's the job? It's pretty much, operating engineers are Swiss Army knives. You throw them at any application and, they're do what they're trained. And, they use their borrowed knowledge over the years of being in the trade to do whatever's thrown at them. And they're phenomenal workers. But to tell you a little bit more about myself, what I do outside of drag racing, I enjoy spending time with friends and family. Let me see a little bit more about myself. I enjoy playing video games on and off. I collect a lot of antiques. I had too many hobbies at one point. So, pursuing a top fuel career, definitely made me narrow down on the hobbies a little bit. It's like, hey, dude, like, put a little bit more money here and you actually may make something out of this thing, So, I gave up a lot of RC stuff. I gave up collecting vintage video games. Definitely narrowed down the, the recreational spending a lot in order to get to that point. But yeah, I had way too many hobbies at one point, too many to even name off for you here. Like if I told you everything that I used to be into, this video would go on for hours. But yeah, antiques, antique clocks, or basically anything that would look good somewhere in the house. Like the last antique that I bought was a miner's safety lamp for a coal mine. If the flame burns at a particular line, that could indicate, coal gas or methane being present, which could create a, combustible environment. So basically, yeah, if you see the flame burning on that safety lamp a little bit too high, get the hell out of the mine. Other than that, I just love drag racing.
Good answer, man. Yeah, that makes sense. You got the skis up there. They're definitely from a different era. And look, on the antique, other than the skis on the wall, what's like the prized possession? What's something that you found and you're like, oh, wow, that was a great find. And man, I'm so glad to have this.
Oh, geez, this is going to hit you like a pallet of bricks. I actually have this right here on the table next to me. It's a Woodstock typewriter. I probably have like a dozen of these things. I see them. I spiff them up, clean them up, work on them. I even write with them sometimes too if I'm bored. Sometimes I journal on them, believe it or not. Everyone has that, one little, weird quirk about them. And with me, typewriters are probably them.
No, man, that's cool. Look, typewriters definitely do not get the appreciation that they should. I mean, for so many decades, they were the way in which print got out. And I mean, honestly, they're still cool. I mean, the mechanical operations of them, the sounds, and they're cool. They're cool mechanisms for sure.
Yeah, rang the bell there for you. So,
all right. So very quickly, in the gaming world, what kind of games we talking about? Like, I'm a strategy gamer. I love city building games like City Skylines and Total War series, and I've got my iRacing. Video game wise, where were you at though?
I've been playing a lot of World of Tanks as of late. I used to be a big World of Warships player, but I quit that for a while. So, I'm still taking a break from that game. I'll probably go back to it when I feel like it. But I've been enjoying my World of Tanks. And I love Skyrim, RPGs, the Borderlands franchise. I love that. I have hundreds of hours in the Borderlands games. Yeah, but my gaming library's gotten smaller and smaller. Yeah, I was just over there looking at it. My gaming choices have gotten smaller and smaller. But yeah, pretty much World of Tanks, Skyrim, and the Borderlands series. That's what I've been playing a lot of as of late.
All right, sounds good to me. I have not tried World of Tanks yet. I definitely do love Warships, their series there, and thoroughly enjoy it. And
You play
getting
Warships?
that. Do what?
You play World of Warships?
Yes, I do. I play World of Warships. Love World of Warships. I'm not saying I'm any good at it, but I love it.
Are you in a clan?
No, I am not in a clan. Let me know later. Maybe we can connect and be in a clan and get out there.
Yeah, like I could bring you into mine. I'm a
Okay.
member of the clan right now. I could actually bring you into mine.
Okay. Well, I'll talk to you about that later on, and whenever I actually have the time to get back on the World of Warships, and instead of doing live shows, maybe be out there on the high seas with you and taking down the enemy. Well, look, man, we're getting near the end of the show, and we talked about a lot. So I've got to ask here towards the end, who do you need to say thank you to? Because we haven't all got to where we have all got to on our own. So take the platform, say thank you, and express whatever you need to express, man.
I want to first of all give my biggest gratitude and biggest thanks to the Zizzos for allowing me to have the exposure I needed to get the connections I needed to be able to get to this point in my life, to be able to actually get my top fuel license and make the dream come true. Without them, without the exposure they gave me at those events, I wouldn't be here, with a top fuel license in hand right now. So to them, biggest shout out and the biggest thanks. The second people I will thank is my friends and family for one, putting up with me for all these years, listening to me constantly talk about it. Literally every time that they would run into me, the topic of drag racing would come up. So thank you very much for putting up with me all those years. I know I've driven you all nuts, but hey, once a man has his heart set on a nearly impossible dream, he'll never stop chasing it. So once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for putting up with me. I love you all. Thank you for my another huge thanks to my parents, my mom and dad, for being supportive of me chasing this goal. I love them dearly, and their love and support has helped me get to this point, and couldn't have done it without their support. You went mute. Can you still hear me?
I can. That's my fault. That's my fault. Slam and Sam will know that the ice. I have the ice, and I'm in a very warm section of the strutmasters.com headquarters, and sometimes I forget to turn my mic on. It happens live, But man, look, thank you for being on. It has allowed me to continue in essence what has been a media tour with those who get their license. Somehow it's worked out. If you get your license, you got to come on Monday Morning Racers Between the Slicks. So I appreciate it, and definitely look forward to seeing you at the track, not just as a crew member, but in that car. Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care, Jake.
You too.
All right, folks, that's it. Between the Slicks. Thank you, Jake, for coming on once again. And folks, you can look for me to be at Epping, New Hampshire for the NHRA Camping World New England Nationals, presented by, it's TascaParts.com and Bandero Premium Tequila. Looking forward to being there this weekend. I actually will start driving tonight and get as far as I can. To each and every one of you, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Tell a friend and get them right here next Thursday. And we plan on having John Montecalvo of Extreme Pro Stock talking about Mountain Motor Pro Stock, the old days, the present days, the future days, and the recent happenings on Long Island concerning the possibility of the future of a drag strip and drag racing itself there. Folks, until next time, I'm the Monday Morning Racer. God bless, and keep the pedal